Okay, welcome to my video on composting worms. I've just harvested a whole pile of worms that I recently had in a worm farm. It took a little bit of time, so now that everything's cleaned and ready to go for the next worm farm, let's get this video on. So what I've got here are two boxes, one inside the other. This box here has holes or slits in it in order for the flow of water or worm pee to go through to the bottom box. You can use a 1.05 or 1.08 drill to make the holes, but I haven't bothered. I just used a hammer and a nail, and it has actually split. The next time I would do it, probably using a proper electric drill. So that sits in there like so, and the worm weed comes through, and when you're ready to use the worm weed, you can tip it into your garden. Okay, so because it's a clear box, what I need to do is actually line it with black plastic shade cloth, and what this does is it blocks out any light for the worms. In one of these ones, this one here, which is going to be at the bottom of my worm box, it's got holes in it. That's what I used last time. This time I'm actually going to use some of this mesh that was laying around the house. What I've done is I've just taped it together, and that'll help with some drainage. So if you can see that there. So what I'll do is I'll pop that into the bottom of my box like so, and it just sits in there like that. Now that I've done that, I will get my other sheets of plastic and I will line the sides up. This will darken the bin for the worms, making it a bit nicer for them to sleep in. And what I do is I just tuck over the sides like so. Tuck over the sides of the bin, and when I put the lid on, it just squishes it down. Then I get another piece and I do the other side. It doesn't have to be, perfectly cut to the shape of the box, as long as it's actually just lining it to darken it, just helps. If you were to use a coloured box, then it's already pre-darkened, you don't need to worry about lining it. Okay, and these little ones I usually put down the sides. So now that the bin is actually lined, what I can do is actually start making the worm bedding like this. So the first thing that we need to do is put some ripped up newspaper in, and what this does, it just creates a nice soft bedding. The worms will eventually just eat all this newspaper, and I just shred it like this. I just pull it and it just shreds like so, and you just keep going until you've probably got about 10 to 15 centimetre thickness. Do a bit more. Like so. Alright, so once I've done that, I need to put some compost on, some rich compost over the top of that. I'll just lift this up so you can actually see what it looks like. That's just the newspaper lining the bin. I hope that is clear. So now we'll put the rich compost on. Now what I've used is the compost from the previous worm farm. So here it is here. This is it here in the bucket. I won't use all of it, obviously. I'm going to put some on the garden. Now there's a bit of leaf and sticks still in there, so you can sieve that out, which is probably a good idea. And I will just put some of that in there now, and I'll just spread it around. And what this does is it puts some good oxygen and nutrients in the bin initially to start off the composting process. just like you would do in a composting bin, except the worms help this one along more so. There are actually a few worms still left in here from when I harvested before. There they are there. Little red worms. So that's okay to have a few. I couldn't get them all. The best way to harvest the worm bin initially is to put some scraps on one side of the bin and the worms will move over, but I actually hand-picked them all out. It took me a bit longer than I had anticipated. Anyway, so we'll leave the rest of that in there for the garden. There's a good juicy worm there. Keep that, put him in the worm bin. Okay. Now the next thing to do is to actually put some nitrogen in there. We've got the newspaper and the compost, but I like to put leaves in, dried up leaves, and the worms will slowly eat away at that. But what we'll do before we put that in is we'll actually put the worms in. Now, most of the worms here will be at the bottom of this box that I'm about to show you. This one here. Now, it's a big pile of worms, mostly. I've tried to sieve most of the castings out. So most of the worms are right at the bottom there. Like that. See them all down there. So there's plenty in there. So what I'll do is I'm going to tip that whole box back into that box, which is what I originally used. I don't want to waste any of the worms. So I'm going to tip them all in there right now. Okay. I've just got a little bit of cardboard there that I'm going to actually crunch up as well and put on top with some newspaper, because the worms will actually eat through that very easily. So in with the worms. You can get worms from Bunnings, but these ones I got off our local buy and sell group on Facebook. A lady harvested her worm castings and scooped up a whole pile of red worms for me, or composting worms. It was an ice cream tamer load, and they've actually bred over time, so I've got about triple the amount. You can notice I've actually put some cabbage in. I did that just to keep them happy while I was harvesting them. Okay, so now that's all in there. I'll just show you. What we have to be careful of is it's not too soggy. If it's too soggy, the worms will actually drown, because the water in the bottom of the box will rise up. So you do have to keep an eye on that. It's a bit of a balance. So I'm going to put some dried leaves in now, which will help with that. It'll dry it out just slightly. So I'll put them in there now. And then what we do, probably don't need all of these. I think that'll do. Is this afternoon I will put some more kitchen scraps in there. Anything will go in except for onion, citrus, potato peelings. They take a really long time to compost, I've noticed, so I don't like putting them in. But anything else is fine, as long as it's not acidic. Okay, and that is how you do a worm farm. Now, what I actually do now is I go put this in the garden. Oh, that's right, I was going to put some cardboard in. They like cardboard, so I'm going to rip some cardboard up. I'm going to pop that in there. And usually once a week I'll actually put a little bit of water in there. If it's starting to dry up, I do put a bit of a spray of water just while I'm doing the gardening to make sure it's damp enough. But as I said, it is a bit of a balance. You don't want to have it too soggy and you don't want it too dry. There we go. I'll probably put a little bit of a spray on there. We actually mist the back of the garden there, so usually I take the lid off and the misting is enough once a week to do that. And I put my worm farm in the shady part of the garden, and I pop a lid on it with a brick on top to stop any rodents from going in. So this is the lid here. Ideally, what we should have on the top here is actually some drill holes to aerate it. And the reason that it is probably so soggy is because I haven't done that. So I will this afternoon get the drill piece out and I'll do proper holes to help the aeration, and you can put them through the sides as well. But as long as you've got the bottom holes in place, that'll allow any excess water to drain out. And there we go. I hope you've enjoyed my video. Before I actually put it in the shady spot of the garden, I'm going to put some cabbage in. It's going off in the fridge, so there we go. And that'll keep them happy. I usually once or twice a week put my hand in the bin to see how the worms are going. And if they're not escaping, then that's a good sign that what you're doing is right. Thanks very much.